Well, good afternoon, my friends, and thank you for coming again to have a shave with me. I'm Rich. A lot of folks call me Major Rich. I'm on the Shaving Cadre, and today shave is brought to you by the letter G. Today that would be green Gaelic Tweed from Wet Shaving Products. Our lathering item today will be our green first anniversary brush. And of course I'll have to use the matching aftershave, otherwise it wouldn't be right. And then our razor of the day for 2 more days will be Persona 74 or Schick Type M. With the Persona 74, this is going to be its 8th outing. I've got my shave prep on. I'm going to turn my collar in so I don't mess myself up too bad. Good news, Safety Cat is back home with us. He survived two nights at the emergency room. He strangely enough, all the stuff that caused us the most problems didn't have anything to do with what landed him in the hospital in the first place. He was having, his lungs were all full of fluid, and the fluid around his heart was making it awful hard for him to breathe. So we took him to the hospital, and they put him on oxygen and gave him a lot of drugs to open up his heart and lungs and make it easy for him to breathe and drain that fluid out. Well, that caused other trouble. He didn't want to eat. He didn't eat for a week. Didn't drink. And so he ended up dehydrated. And so he ended up in the hospital again for 2 days, getting that all back to shape. So we went to pick him up yesterday. And he still had a feeding tube, or a tube, went in his little nose, and that's what they were squirting like Ensure, a kitty version of Ensure, into his stomach. Boy, that's, well, let's turn this up. They were rehydrating him. He also had a IV drip, of course. But they wanted us to keep that feeding tube in. And of course, if he's home, you've got an IV tube, or they call it an NG tube, so a nasal gastric tube or something like that. The other cats, Noel and Buster, thought he was the Frankenstein monster or something. They'd have nothing to do with him. Noel's already was hissing at him because he smells like the hospital. But his own brother Buster, tail, I've never seen Buster get excited enough that his tail would get fat. Bottle brush tail. And he was scared and hissed at his own brother. I don't know if cats know that they got brothers and sisters and stuff. I'm not sure if that's a construct of humans, but he was mighty frightened. And so they didn't want to take that NG tube out, but it was sticking kind of crazy out of his nose, and then the cone of shame wouldn't let him drink out of the water bowl. So I was giving him water through the NG tube. I was looking at the feeding tube, because he was wanting to eat regular food. He had all kinds of wonderful things for him to eat with his usual treats. And he wanted them real bad, but every time he went down to go to the floor, ka-dunk, the cone of shame would stop him from getting to his treats, so I had to hand feed those to him. And that was a monumental effort. And he wasn't enjoying it. He was taking the joy out of it for me. So I took the cone of shame off of him, and he was able to enjoy his treats. And so far, he eats that, and he's developed a liking for the canned food that they send him home with. He's never been a canned food eater. All of a sudden, he's decided he likes that. So we're going to indulge him for a little bit, but we're going to eventually put him back on his usual kibble, and he will be happy with that too. But, well, back to my story. Seems like everything during the night, I had to put the cone of shame back on him. We gave him his medicine last night. Put him in the bathroom, the smaller bathroom that's off of the master bedroom. I figured that was small enough that we could put a little litter box in the shower in there, and he couldn't get around too much and get the tube caught on anything. And I carefully wrapped the tube around a little piece of sock that I cut off and put around his neck, so it wouldn't get in the way and he wouldn't. What am I trying to realize there? Well, in the morning, I heard a little rustling around in there, and during the night he was crying. He wasn't liking being in the bathroom. But this morning, I opened the door, and there he is, no cone of shame. And he pulled the tube out of his own nose. I know there was a suture holding that thing in place, so he must have really wanted it out. I'd like to see how he did that, but he got that tube out of his nose, and so it was dangling under his little chin, and then there was the rest of it wrapped around his little collar. Cone of shame was laying on the floor in there. So I unhooked him from the rest of it, gave him his morning treats, which he hungrily wolfed down, and then went over and drank from the drinking fountain just like a regular cat. They had a problem with his left front paw. They said, oh, that's probably from a blood clot or something got in there and palsied up his hand. So his left front paw was acting funny yesterday when we picked him up. So I was all the way home blaming them for everything that's wrong with him. I'm afraid that his nose was going to be permanently disfigured from having a tube in it. And now he's lame, and we're still on the hook for take care credit for unspeakable amounts of money. So he called this morning, and I told him that I'd called the vet last night. Says, can I just cut that suture and remove this tube, because he obviously is really wanting to eat normal, and they didn't want me to do it. So this morning was the major rich I told you so. He took it out himself. I didn't have anything to do with it. I could say that with complete honesty. That's not always been the case for me. Sometimes, well, with any of us really. But he took it out of his own accord. Made him uncomfortable, so he removed it. So today, over the course of the day, his little hands been getting better. It's not as strong as the right hand. He's left-handed. If that's such a thing. If he goes to reach for something, he usually will reach with his left hand first. But it's getting stronger, and he's able to spread his fingers. He wasn't able to spread his fingers yesterday. Today he could make a full hand, his left hand. So that's pretty good. So we got him back in good shape. He's still not 100% himself, but I knew you guys would be worried about him. Would have all kinds of questions, but we gotta give him some medicine still. He doesn't like taking medicine and will fight me tooth and nail, so maybe it's a good thing he's got a lame hand, so he won't be able to fight me quite so hard. That Gaelic Tweed, pretty good soap. Western or Wet Shaving Products does make a pretty good product. It's not the slickest, it's not the bestest, but it is darn good. The only complaint I have against them is in their EDT. I think it's EDT. Is that what you call this thing? The spritzer on their EDT. It comes out of there like a fire hose. And so you have to be kind of careful how you treat yourself, or you're going to end up with a face full of stuff. So I'm going to clean up here and I'll be right back. Thank you for waiting. We're done. We had a pretty excellent shave today. Very smooth. Thanks in large part to the very sharp, and I'm more and more impressed with these Persona 74 tungsten steel blades. I don't make them anymore, but we're at shave number 8 on this one, and did a really great job. The star of the lathering show is Gaelic Tweed from Wet Shaving Product. We used my green and beautiful first anniversary brush. I don't know, I had trouble getting that to come out. Aftershave today is going to be the Gaelic Tweed aftershave. At least I got some control. It's got a nice little restrictor in there, so it. Oh, did I? I had a little weeper there. I didn't notice it until I looked up at the mirror. Today I'm also. This is the first time I've filmed a shave with my camera. This is in full, shaving it in full, or filming it in full resolution. So I'm looking at you in the mirror behind, and the viewfinder is actually on the back side of the camera. I've got a tripod here, and I'm looking at the main lens, which is right there. So this is just kind of seeing what it's like to shave with that. This is nice because you do have pretty good pan, because the handle of the tripod is right here, and then we'll have tilt. Problem is it's huge, so that's not so good. I'll probably mostly use the hanging thing that I already do with the iPad. I think I like that setup better. I just wanted to see what was possible, just because I'm going to be doing at least a couple of shaves on vacation. I got to see how that's done. Aside from that, there's not much more to tell. Happy to have the cat back. Thank you guys for all your prayers and thanks and thoughts for getting him home. I'd like to see you come and visit me again. I'm always to be found on the problem is with this viewfinder, I can't really see what I'm pointing at, but I'm on the Shaving Cadre. My name is Major Rich. You also find me on Facebook And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.